So, I think it's like Mental Health Awareness Month. And then Memorial Day was Monday, which I only recently learned. I don't pay much attention to that, really. It's kind of every day, for me. But I've struggled with mental health for a long time, and I'm trying a new approach and taking it serious. So, I'd like to read to you a letter I wrote to a friend, a brother, an inspiration. Something very important to me. It was hard to write this letter, but I think it's helped me some. Maybe this is even a bigger step. Dear Josh, 10 years have almost passed since you charged that mountainside. Wow, we were really just boys back then. I can't begin to tell you how many times I have watched the 20th of June 2011 play over in my head. Often, when I am performing some mind-numbing task that presents little to no true value. It was me in the turret, on the Mark 19, D'Amico driving, Lieutenant Ferrara as TC, his first mission with us, I think, and you and Jones in the back, ready to dismount and show the enemy the wrath of our tenacious and legendary unit. If I remember correctly, we were QRF for some A&A who were under attack. A strange part of that day is how everything happened so fast, according to my memory. In my mind, it was simultaneous. In reality, I know we were there into the night. Adrenaline sure is a fun and wild ride. I think it was right around the time we pulled up when I noticed A&A soldiers bringing down a casualty. Each soldier gripping onto a different limb as they struggled to find footing on the shale-covered ground. His head was limp, but bounced in cadence with each step and slide they took. If my memory is correct, he was shot in the back of the head. I had no idea one of those rounds would shortly be directed at you. I will never forget hearing we had a casualty over the radio. I know it was loud at the time, but I remember it much differently. I remember everything fell silent from my perspective. I was ready to destroy any threat by any means necessary. As the 9 line was read over the net, your battle roster number was the clear giveaway. I heard Juliet, Juliet, and I knew immediately that it was you they had taken from us. My heart shattered, but boy, we fought like hell. We used every asset we had and aimed them towards the enemy. They knew what they had just done, and we knew we couldn't let them get away with it. I can't speak for our brothers, but I personally haven't stopped fighting since that day, mainly with myself. A common thought for years was I wished it would have been me that day that died. Constantly thinking of the life you could be living with your wife and the twins you never had the chance to hold. There was a point I was convinced that you would have made the most of life, unlike the wretch I saw myself as for nearly a decade. Jesus, damn near a third of my life, spent dwelling on a single June afternoon. Reflecting, I'm not sure I've actually lived since I left Katmani. Maybe some brief periods. Yeah, I've had those, but they have been fleeting. I found myself more angry than sad with the realization of how much time I have wasted. How can I live to honor your memory? Man, I must have asked myself this thousands of times. I still do. Up until recently, I had not even a single clue. I kept trying the same things over and over. Believe it or not, the results were always the same. It was pure madness, I say. It's not that I didn't know better, surely I did. It was just much easier to pound a case of beer or a fifth of bourbon in a few hours than to take 5 minutes and try to understand what your death truly means to me. My German roots and the Oakley lineage of heavy drinkers is the only reason I think my body handled the stress I put it through. That Johnny Cash song, Sunday Morning, Coming Down, man, I felt that daily. I knew once I took that first sip each day, I relinquished myself of all responsibilities and let the bottle be in control. God, I wouldn't wish that life for anyone. Despite the haze I was living in, I did catch glimpses of how not to honor you. These were my moments of pure desperation, determined to end all types of feelings for myself. There's no need to beat around the bush. You're my brother. I fantasize frequently about how refreshing a cold piece of lead would feel. The classic in the mouth, out the back of the head, toe pulls the trigger, you know, Cobain style. I imagined it even more refreshing than even the finest bourbon on ice on a warm Florida afternoon. At times I was certain. It wasn't really my loved ones that kept me from following through. I was well aware what it would do to them if they found me lifeless and cold with brain matter scattered about. Deep into the woods I would go. That was the plan, and it made perfect sense to me. The last thing I would see would be natural beauty, and I would be giving myself back to the earth. Bugs, coyotes, buzzards, they could all have me. And if anything was ever found, it would be bones. I imagine that would have been much easier for my loved ones to cope with compared to bloody, bloated, and brainless lying in the dark. Obviously, I never did it. And it's really the simplest thing that prevented me. It's this bracelet on my right wrist with your name on it that kept me from doing it. I genuinely thought that in the chance of an afterlife, and I saw you there, that you would be furious with my decision. I couldn't stand the idea of disappointing you. It terrified me, actually. I believe it is only natural for humans to want the approval of their heroes. And you're my biggest. Returning to the base that night, where you had just been sitting hours before, your now empty seat, what a haunting feeling that was. That feeling stuck with me and is a fine summary of how I was living my life until just months ago. I finally understand how I can live to honor you. I just need to live. I must acknowledge my emotions and no longer hide them from myself and, well, essentially the whole world. I must be present in each moment, not forgetting my past, but embracing it, for allowing me to become the resilient motherfucker I am today. I'm convinced there is no challenge I can't conquer. I do feel America has changed since then, and not for the better, but I will not fret. I will cherish each moment of each day, treating it as the gift that it is. The last 10 years have passed too quickly. Before I know it, my final moment will be here to greet me. My fear of living has transformed into a fear of wasting time. I couldn't be more grateful. Here is my promise to you, Josh, my brother. I will stay humble, but I will stand tall in this world. Shoulders back and chest out, just like they trained us for drill and ceremony. No longer will I be curled up in cowardice, looking like Schmeagol in search of his precious. I will allow myself to be vulnerable and honest, instead of fearing an unfavorable judgment from people who have never actually danced with the devil. I will live by the legacy of the wolfhounds. I will be compassionate in times of peace, and I will be ferocious in battle. I obviously wish nothing but peace, but we both know all too well what man is capable of. I will share your tale with anyone who cares to listen, and I will do it proudly, attempting to smile with tears in my eyes. You goofy son of a bitch. You died that day so the rest of us foul-mouthed and rugged bastards could live on. If it wasn't for your courage, I may not be here today. I think that's enough fuel to keep my fire lit until I see you again. I love you, brother. Oakley.